para sa nagbabagang mga balita. Nagbabadya ang pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin ngayong darating na Lunes mula sa presyo ng bigas kada kilo hanggang sa presyo ng mga gulay sa merkado.
Look around you. Where do you think all the stuff come from? All humans are born with needs and wants. This results for consumers to demand for goods and services and drives producers to supply those goods and services, leading to what we call exchange. Exchange that primarily happens in the market. But how well-informed people are when it comes to market supply, market demand, and market equilibrium.
Demand? Hindi ko alam. Demand po. Ano po yung demand?
Sit back, relax, and let us be your economics guide. This is Economics for Life. Let's talk about demand and supply with a kilo of rice. Demand refers to the relationship between the quantity of a good or service that buyers wish to purchase and the price of that good or service. It is determined by the capacity and willingness of the buyer to have that product. The first thing to understand about demand is the law of demand, which says that there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. That means when the price goes down for rice, the quantity demanded for it increases. While if the price goes up for rice, then the quantity demanded for it decreases. Just take a look at this table known as demand schedule that lists the quantity of rice that consumers are willing to purchase at each price. As you can see, when the price goes down to 55, 50, 45, and 40, the quantity demanded increases. Now if you plot these points, you're gonna get a demand curve, which is the graphical presentation of a demand schedule or demand table, which looks like this. It is a downward sloping curve showing the law of demand. Now if you're going to ask why demand has downward slope, there are two main reasons: the substitution effect and the income effect. Substitution effect says as the price goes up for a specific brand of rice, just like for example Dinorado, people will demand less of that and find a substitute product, one that is relatively cheaper brand of rice, let's say Sinandomeg. Next is the income effect, which says that when the price goes down for Dinorado, people will buy more of it because their purchasing power has increased. But if the price of Dinorado goes up, people are going to stop buying that because their purchasing power has decreased. Now the question is, what is the difference between change in quantity demanded and change in demand? Is there any difference? The previous situations are examples of change in quantity demanded, for it is caused by change in price that is shown as a movement along a demand curve. But if there's something else other than price changes, then it is a shift in demand curve resulting to change in demand. Now there are two kinds of shifts: shift to the right and shift to the left. Shift of demand curve to the right pertains to an increase in demand, while shift of demand curve to the left is a decrease in demand due to a number of reasons. These number of reasons that causes the demand to shift are known as 5 shifters of demand. It should be first clear to us that change in price will never cause the demand curve to shift. Now, the first shifter of demand is the income. Consumer income affects his or her demand for products. This depends on the two types of products, the normal goods and the inferior goods. Normal goods are goods that consumers demand more when their income increases, while inferior goods are goods that consumers demand less when their income increases. Best example for this is when you decide where to buy new clothes. With more income, you'll prefer to buy name brand clothing at department stores. But with less income, you'll prefer to buy clothes in ukay-ukay or in discount stores. Next is population, or the number of consumers. A rise in the size of population will increase the demand for houses, food, and many other goods and services. Another shifter is the consumer tastes and advertising. The more that the product is advertised in mainstream media, the more number of consumers will know it and more likely be curious to try it. Now, the next shifter is the price of related goods. The demand for one good can be affected by the change in demand for another good. This is where substitutes and complements come in. For example, branded rice and NFA rice are substitutes for each other. So as the price goes up for branded rice, the more expensive to buy it, then the demand is going to increase for NFA rice. While if the price goes down for branded rice, then people are going to move away from buying NFA rice. Of course, there's also complements. So when the price for rice falls, it is going to increase the demand for food items such as fish and meat. So goods that are used together are complements, while goods that are used in place of one another are substitutes. The last shifter of demand is consumer expectations. If you think the price of rice is going to increase next week, you're actually going to buy a whole lot more kilos of it today. And if you think the price of rice is going to decrease next week, then you're going to buy less of it today. Evidently, demand is mainly concerned by the perspective of consumers. How about the producers? Producers' perspective is mainly concerned of supply. Supply refers to the relationship between the quantity of a good or service that suppliers wish to produce and sell and the price of that good or service. It is determined by the capacity and willingness of the supplier to produce that product for their goal of earning profit. If the law of demand states an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, the law of supply states a direct relationship between price and quantity supplied. That means when the price goes up for rice, the quantity supplied for it increases. This is because an increasing price gives an incentive for suppliers to produce more because they want to make more profit. While if the price goes down for rice, then the quantity supplied for it decreases, for the suppliers are discouraged. Just take a look at this table, known as supply schedule, that lists the quantity of rice that suppliers are willing to produce and sell at each price. As you can see, when the price goes down to 55, 50, 45, and 40, the quantity supplied also decreases. Now if you plot these points, you're gonna get a supply curve, which is the graphical presentation of a supply schedule or supply table, which looks like this. It is an upward sloping curve showing the law of supply. Remember that we said earlier, the change in price causes a change in quantity demanded and shown as a movement along a demand curve. The same thing also goes with supply. Change in price causes change in quantity supplied, represented by movement along a supply curve. On the other hand, if the amount supplied is affected by anything other than a change in price, then there will be a shift in supply. This can also be a shift to the right, which indicates an increase in supply, or shift to the left, which indicates a decrease in supply. Now let's talk about the 5 shifters of supply. First is the price of factors of production, or the price of resources. If there's a huge increase in the price of one resource used in producing a good, that would cause a decrease in the supply of that good. Second shifter is technology and productivity. Equipping new advanced machines in making a good will produce more supply of that good. Also, conducting seminars and trainings to labor workers would widen their expertise to their job and enable them to produce more supply of a good. Another shifter is producer expectations. If the producer thinks they can make more profit of their product a few weeks from now, they will hold back supply now and will supply more later on. Next shifter is natural and social factors. Natural factors pertain to inevitable natural calamities such as earthquake and typhoon, while social factors may pertain to the minimum wage of workers or even the trend of an item. Both factors can lead to a change in supply. Fourth shifter of supply is the number of producers. If eventually there's an emergence of new competitors creating and selling the same product, then there will be greater supply of that product in the market. Last shifter is the price of related goods and services. Just like in demand, this refers to the substitution effect and complementary effect. If the price of the key resource of a good increases, then producers will look for a substitute resource with cheaper price. And if the supply of the complement of a good decreases, this will also cause a decrease in the supply of that good. Now that we know the perspective of consumers and producers, how can we prioritize the welfare of both of them without forsaking the other? This is where market equilibrium takes place, when the quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. Thus, there is zero excess of demand and supply. As you can see in the market demand and supply schedule and the market demand and supply curve of rice, the point where the demand curve and supply curve intersect is called the point of equilibrium, with 50 pesos as the equilibrium price. Now the points above and below the equilibrium depict different trends. Those that are above the equilibrium denote an excess in supply, known as surplus, where supply is greater than demand. Meanwhile, those that are below the equilibrium denote an excess in demand, known as shortage, where the demand of rice is greater than the supply for it. Moreover, there are times that we need the government involvement. They serve as a mediator for the agreement of consumers and producers in the market. During crisis times, emergencies, or wars, the government wants to protect the consumers from rapidly increasing prices, while after the catastrophe, the government wants to help the producers to gain back their losses. Hence, the government creates price controls. These are legal restrictions of how high or low a market price may go. The two types of it are price ceiling and price floor. Price ceiling is the maximum price sellers are allowed to charge for a good. It is the upper limit for the price. Price ceiling can be seen in the market demand and supply curve below the equilibrium, which indicates shortage. Here, the government acts as the supplier. The purpose of price ceiling is to protect consumers. Next is price floor. This refers to the minimum price buyers are required to pay for a good. It is the lower limit for the price. Price floor can be seen in the market demand and supply curve above the equilibrium, which indicates surplus. Here, the government acts as the subsidizer or the customer. The main purpose of price floor is to protect the producers. And that's how market demand, market supply, and market equilibrium comes along with each other. Markets are everywhere. Demand, supply, market equilibrium. Concepts that you will always encounter. Concepts that every individual must know.
Isang abiso para sa lahat ng mamimili. Mula sa One Patrol, Radyo ng Bayan. Laging tandaan, lamang ang